So, a couple of days ago, I was telling you guys about how trillions of dollars could be flowing into crypto. And you thought I was joking? Look at this, guys. Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank is ready to put 5% of his portfolio in the SEC approved Bitcoin ETF. And this, guys, is just the start. We talked about a couple of these guys in the last couple of days, but I think this one, because of his online presence, is one of the most influential rich guys or whales or whatever we want to put there to join the crypto gang, and it's going to be amazing because I think this, by already having that association with Shark Tank and spotting things when they're kind of new and stuff like that, is going to be injecting a lot more capital. And of course, at least maybe I can't make that assumption. I think I can, though, that Kevin O'Leary also has a lot of friends who might also think about allocating 1 to 3%, maybe even 10% of their capital into crypto. As we've already seen now earlier today, a lot of whales are doing this, right? Putting in 1 to 3%, some even 5% like Kevin here, into cryptocurrency. And it doesn't really matter that it's just an ETF and SEC approved one. I think that's just because he wants his money safe, but I'm still very, very excited about this, guys. I've told you guys before as well, if you see Bitcoin, it don't matter. It doesn't matter at all, because ultimately all these cryptos will be bought. It is just Bitcoin right now is the most appealing to institutional investors, but eventually coins like XRP and Ethereum will be bought en masse, so don't worry yourself about that. Now, as most of you guys already know, we are giving away 250 XRP the first time that this video, or that any video, hits 1,500 likes within 24 hours. 3 simple steps on how to enter. Make sure you press the like button, make sure you are subscribed, and make sure you comment something down below. And now let's move on. So this whole article, I can kind of go over. I can just cover the most important little parts. Kevin O'Leary is or at least was I should say, very harsh Bitcoin skeptic. He said in May of last year, CNBC told him that Bitcoin was useless and useless currency because it's the worst because you cannot enter and exit in large quantities, which of course sounds kind of stupid unless you're talking about it like 2011 type of era. In 2013-14, Bitcoin was traded quite a lot, and it kind of depends on what you call a lot of money. But if you had, let's say, $1 million, which I consider quite a lot of money, even 10 million, it wouldn't have been a problem. And right now, the volume is how much? Let's quickly go ahead and take a look. $7.6 billion in the last 24 hours. Yeah, okay, if we're talking of entering with $1 billion like that, it's going to be a little bit difficult. But if you're talking, let's say 500 million over a week or so, it's definitely possible to enter with that, and you're hopefully and most likely also going to be adding a little bit to the price. Having said that, let's move on a little bit. I got a lot of stuff to talk about here. He actually also now kind of got to this topic because of Anthony Pompliano, because he had that podcast, right, which we heard a lot of this stuff from. The thing is, though, you never really understand exactly how long he's been on this idea, and, some, if you guys are looking at my screen right now, they're saying here something about him, which is interesting. I cannot tell too much about this one, though. We don't know how long he's been into this one. We don't know how long he's been thinking about this one. Maybe he previously lied to hopefully get the prices down. We don't know. But his own quote was, when I can sort this out, I can put $1 million in it, and I know I'm not going away in any way, and it's consistent, he confirmed. If that happened, then we would wake up tomorrow morning and tell SEC that you can create an ETF with Bitcoin, and we think Bitcoin is legal, payment method and wealth storage. It's not just growing, a lot of people like me invested in it. If this happens, I'm going to give it a 5% weight, so not to have a significant portion of my portfolio volatile. He said that he would like to invest in an ETF, and said, or that most of his investments are in ETFs. Point of this whole story is he will invest in crypto if proper ETFs come out, which is, again, once more pretty amazing in my opinion. Then Biden's administration will ultimately be supportive of crypto by the Circle CEO. So the Circle CEO, Jeremy Allaire, believes that the upcoming Joe Biden presidential administration in the US will ultimately be supportive of crypto because it represents a seismic shift as large as the commercial internet. We talked about this before, even though they got the Stable Act going on right now in the Trump term. Next term could be a pretty big one, a pretty positive one, as we've seen that 6 to 8 weeks in the Trump administration term, we will still be getting some regulations. And 2021 is going to be built on top of all changes that are happening right now, and hopefully Biden is going to start a lot of good stuff for it. We don't know. Some of you guys have said Biden is not the prez. Some of you guys have said it. I can't quote on that, all right? I'm only using what I'm seeing right now here, so please don't think I take any side. Spain's second largest bank will soon launch crypto services by sources. BBVA, the second largest bank in Spain with about $840 billion in assets, is poised to enter the crypto trading and custody space, according to two people familiar with the plans. The Spanish bank will begin its crypto offering out of Switzerland, said a source. Switzerland has relatively comprehensive rules around digital assets set out by the country's Financial Market Supervisory Authority, FINMA, and one source with knowledge of the plans told CoinDesk. By the way, guys, I'm not a native English speaker, so sometimes the pronunciation is not perfect. That BBVA is launching a Europe-wide crypto initiative from Switzerland, which, in my opinion, sounded a little bit strange. They're the second largest bank in Spain, and everything is happening from Switzerland. That's interesting, and like, why is a Spanish bank offering this outside of Switzerland? But if you read a little bit further, or actually just reread what I just said, is because the rules over in Switzerland are a lot better, most likely, than in Spain, which is why they're building it on top of that, or doing it from out of there. There's still quite a lot of hurdles, but they'll think it will be live next month. And generally, guys, I'm really happy with everything that's happening, what's happening in the start of 2021. I think it's going to be a huge surge for crypto adoption the first couple of months of 2021 already. But of course, the biggest of everything is going to be, we talked about it before, guys, when Ripple gets all those countries on board. I'm excited for it. And of course, actually, I cannot forget, a couple of articles earlier, I think even today, we did talk about 4 or so instances where big guys were putting in 1 or 3% of their capital. I don't even know how much that would get to, but definitely we're talking trillions of dollars. If all these billionaires would have put in maybe 1 to 3%, we're talking $1 trillion at least in the shortest amount of time, right? And again, I'm talking now about individuals plus companies. Even though I just said individuals, I'm talking individuals plus companies with all the reserves and stuff like that. Again, not to completely put them open to it, but $1 trillion for crypto is not hard to achieve. Trust me when I keep saying that, guys. Trust me, it's not going to be hard. 39 firms have applied to offer crypto services under new regulations, says Dutch Central Bank. So this has actually not been new at all. But a spokesperson for the Dutch Central Bank told news.bitcoin.com, which I found cool, that they have a direct connection to the Nederlandse Bank, that they can just talk like that, which I found pretty damn cool. But so far, they've received 39 applicants, which I found kind of low. However, here are a couple of ones that have been doing this already. And the thing is, I think the Netherlands is always a very progressive country in the sense that they like to start with this type of stuff and like to really go heavy on all of this stuff as well. And I like it. All right, honestly, guys, I like what I'm seeing here. I like it a lot. Former Goldman Sachs hedge fund chief says he's warming to XRP, analyzing potential of the third largest crypto. Ooh, you guys seeing that as well? Ooh, that's some heavy stuff right there. A prominent macro strategist and former Goldman Sachs hedge fund manager says XRP has piqued his interest. Okay, so you guys already kind of know who we're talking about, right? We're talking about a guy who's been positive of crypto for a very long while, and we're talking obviously about Raoul Pal, who recently invested 98% of his liquid net assets into Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think he went 80% Bitcoin, 20% Ethereum, and he's now confirmed that he's also looking into XRP. Quote, I'm warming to XRP, to be honest. I now have a basic understanding. I do not own it. Paul's public exploration of XRP triggered a wide range of responses in crypto Twitter. He says the naysayers are only making him more interested in forming his own opinions. Quote, if somebody tells me not to look at Ripple, I will go and look at Ripple because you will tell me not what to do, or you don't tell me what to do. And I will find out for myself what its flaws are and what its potential benefits are and assess the probability myself. I may reach exactly the same conclusions as you. I may reach completely different ones than you did. Paul says traders should make level-headed and independent judgment calls on investment opportunities and always analyze whether the market is undervaluing the potential of a given asset. Quote, I do not own Ripple. I'm not getting into that fight, but let's assume I think it has a 10% chance of becoming something much bigger, but the whole market is giving it a 0.5% chance, then misalignment in risk reward is a huge opportunity, and that's what we do in financial markets. We have to remain open. You can't trade financial markets and go, well, I'm only going to trade Apple and every other company is a fraud. They're not as good because their phones aren't as good. I mean, that's ridiculous. What we look for is, okay, where is the secular trend change? What's the best vehicle to express that view? And can I diversify that view? Can I add juice to that view? Can I create alpha around that view? Ultimately, Paul says macro traders often have a unique perspective on the markets, and he urges crypto enthusiasts to keep an open mind as to what's required to bring new money into that space. Last quote, so that's why I come at it, and I think all the macro guys, we just come at it differently. And I understand that some of the crypto community doesn't like that because it kind of feels like we're abusing the space, but much like I talked about with regulation, I get people upset when I say regulation is a good thing. But if you want to get rich, people are going to have to come into the space. And that's the one I refer to quite often. I think you guys that watch my videos more often know that. I say regulation for us as individuals may sound like a freaking hassle because the more properly regulated, the harder your taxes are going to become in a certain sense because, well, you have to pay more. On the contrary, the easier it is to figure out how you're going to have to pay your taxes because we have a proper framework. On the contrary, again, we can get some... Or no, not on the contrary, on the same note, on that note, we can get some rules like, for example, self-custodied wallets will be banned or will need proper regulation as well, where you can't really own your own money anymore. You have to address everything that's happening in that bank account or in that wallet account, which is very, very annoying. And those things, again, may come with extra regulation. But on the side note, like we just saw with the Kevin O'Leary exploration or example, if there aren't proper regulations, wills like that won't come in. If it's not properly regulated, if they can't just lose their money quickly as can be, or if it's not really legal, yeah, big guys aren't investing that money really quickly. And ETFs, as we've seen before, exchange tradable funds is where a lot of these big guys only put their money in. And especially if you actually, again, you got to kind of think out of your own box here for a second. If you haven't really heard too much about crypto, and you're like, okay, how do I go about it? And all they say is like, well, just make an account on an exchange and buy some of them. And they're like, okay, but what if I just want to buy it on like next to my stocks? How am I going to go about that? You're like, oh no, well, you can't really do that. They're gonna be like, you know what do you mean? I only hold S&P. How do I buy crypto on my platform? And they're like, well, you can't. Like, what? And that's why we need a lot of these ETFs to come in as well, because those get a lot of legitimacy from bigger players. And again, if you were to want stocks and crypto, I keep recommending Webull to people, mostly for the reason that I think it's a pretty simple way to go about things. And by the way, if you want to look at it, here's what it looks like. It's like where you can buy crypto and you can buy stocks at the same time on here. And if you make an account, if you're from the US, very important, if you're from the US, you get 2 free stocks on the platform, and if you, I think, deposit $100, you get 2 more free stocks. You just press the link down below, and you'll see exactly everything. The explanation is very clear. The thing is, though, there's a big problem, especially if some of these bigger guys are going to be hopping on in. Why? Well, for example, with Grayscale, for example, with PayPal, for example, with any of these, you're not actually buying the crypto yourself. Or maybe you are, but you're not really buying the underlying private keys. Like if I were to buy XRP on here, I would have the value of this XRP and I would hold that possibly forever, but I don't own my personal keys, right? So I can't actually withdraw XRP from here. I can just trade it. So I've recommended this website and websites like these to people who just want to put in some money and be done, do not have the risk of your platform leaving you or not have any risk in that sense that they're just going to quit or that you can't withdraw at some point or another, and you could just keep everything in one place like stocks and everything. Again, make sure you do your own due diligence. Don't just, believe me from this perspective because it's your money ultimately. But yeah, I kind of like the fact that I can just buy it here and not have to worry about it, except for cases where I have to or I want to withdraw it and then do stuff with that. The reason I like this type of stuff is just because regulations aren't going to be so harsh on these things because they'll just be harsh on the platform itself, right? But how I see it is just you're having an investment on a platform like this, so the regulations are a lot simpler, your taxes are a lot simpler. Rather than you having your own crypto and having to make all these choices yourself, they most likely have some info on the websites as well. You can just check out PayPal, right? If the taxes were a nightmare, they probably wouldn't have ever listed Bitcoin on their platform. And buying Bitcoin on PayPal is kind of the same as buying it here. You don't get to withdraw them, but you'll still have the value. So if Bitcoin goes to $100,000 and you bought it, it's still going to get your money to $100,000, guys. You guys know what it means, right? You understand it. So yeah, that's again why I like this platform quite a lot, but mostly because you get 4 free stocks. That's why I'm so excited about it. And then here, another one is just to kind of put a dent in it. The rich are starting to consider Bitcoin, Bloomberg reports. This is the one I was talking about a little bit earlier, and I just wanted to briefly mention it once more. Look at the numbers here, guys. Let's go down a little bit again, and some of the guys, let's look. An interview with Bloomberg, Beckett Collective founder Teresa Morrison said that Bitcoin could work practically as an inflation hedge. Morrison noted that a 1% allocation of a portfolio could be ideal for investors. And the only thing I can say here is, maybe if you have $500 million or $1 billion, then a 1% allocation is okay. But if you only have, let's say, $5,000, I'm not going to say put in 1% because that's $50. What are you going to achieve with that? Not that much, right? Maybe if you're very focused on maintaining wealth, you guys know the 3 phrases, right? The first one being the accumulation of wealth, and the second one being the perseverance, or what's it called now, officially in English, like the keeping of the wealth in easier terms. Where a lot of us are in the first one where you're accumulating all this wealth. For example, I'm going to call every individual with less than 10, maybe even $20 million an individual that's accumulating wealth because, well, maybe you're going to have it for you and your son, but it's definitely not going to stay there for a lot of generations if you have under $10 million or even 20. You guys get that picture? So from that perspective, if you have, let's say a couple of $1,000s, maybe even a couple $100,000, a 1% allocation is not going to do you that much good, I personally find. If we want to go big or go home, we have to go for more. And we can also bear the risk a lot better because the fluctuation hurts us a lot less. We're not that used to these bigger numbers and having them for a longer time. I've come to that conclusion after asking a lot of my friends and kind of noticing my own situation. So it's not conclusive, I just have found that. Similarly, Elemental's Wealth Dan Heron said that Bitcoin is becoming more compelling for young investors. He said a 5% allocation in Bitcoin could work in a low interest rate environment. Heron explained, you might consider it if you have the ability to maybe put 5% of your portfolio in there and just let it rise and see what happens. I get it though. I do get it on a different end because once more, it is a lot riskier than most of these other strategies and investments. And I kind of feel as if we can take the risk. We're willing to take it. We are willing to take the risk with the added volatility, but that's because we want to get some crazy returns as well. If it were to just be here for a, 50% return, I probably could have gone with stocks and tried to trade the S&P. Probably could have gotten 15% after a little while. But I'm here for a couple 1,000% returns, right? So that's not going to cut it. And yeah, if I lose my money, I at least took the risk. And I don't think we will. But if we do, at least we took the risk, and at least we knew what we were starting off with, and at least we're not losing everything like some of these $100 million individuals are, and where I can understand more if you don't want to put everything in crypto, which is still so speculational, especially if you're not involved with crypto as actively as we are. Because if you update yourself every single day, you get that reassurance of like, man, there's thousands of people in the same boat, and we all know it's going to be huge. This is the start of something bigger. But some of these big guys, they maybe heard about it maybe like 10 times or so. One of their colleagues keeps telling them about it, or one of their other partners keeps telling them like, hey, you got some money in that. They're like, no, what's it about again? What is that Bitcoin thing, right? Nah, haven't ever checked it out. And then another guy says, well, I put in 3%, and they're like, okay, I can do maybe like 1%. Like, okay. And we're not having those types of discussions, right? We're going like almost all or nothing in this thing. It kind of feels like that. But guys, that was it. All right. You got to understand. You got to very much understand, very important, that this type of stuff is not financial advice. And even though we know billionaires and even maybe eventually within a couple of years when we get them, trillionaires may be entering, or at least $1 trillion companies, it's all a slow process. Because 2021 is going to be a turnaround year where a lot of these big guys are going to be hopping on in, but gold is still there. A lot of these big guys are still attracted to gold, and it's going to take some time before they really heavily switch over. We got to understand that. We got to respect that. But I am very, very, very excited, guys, for seeing our very short future here. And whenever we're talking about XRP, or about Bitcoin specifically, guys, I'm always talking about XRP too, because ultimately that's my number one coin at this point. All right? Honestly, if you're asking me which coin is going to get us the highest ROI, and this has changed on multiple occasions for me, right now I'm 100% on XRP. Not like 100% of my investment is in XRP, but I'm 100% for the fact that XRP is going to give us the highest return. And again, this has not always been the case, but right now I'm really feeling like that just because I feel as if, yeah, the most amount of people are just happy with that when the community is so good. I'm excited. Honestly, guys, I'm excited for this. Yeah, I feel good. I feel good holding XRP. I feel good. Good day. Good day. Another good day, guys. Good day. Crypto's doing good. I'm happy with all of this, and I can hold really, really nicely. Yeah. I hope you guys are also having an enjoyable day. New, fresh start to the week. It's going to be a big one. Spark is coming up. Everything is looking exciting. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed your weekend, and let's see what's going to happen this week.